Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination E Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on a 2023 Nissan Rogue. The Destination E is going to be a two-bike platform style bike rack capable of supporting those bikes up to 70 pounds. It's going to hold on to our bikes primarily with these frame clamps here on our center mast, as well as 3 straps down at the bottom, 1 on the back tire, 2 on the front. It's going to work really well with your e-bikes because it does have a ramp, not integrated onto the rack, but it does come included. So let's check out how it works. One really nice feature about this rack is that it has the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded. It does so really aggressively. So to do that, we'll start by loosening this gray hand knob down under the center mast. Push that forward, and we can hold on to this center mast in the back. You can see I can let go and it stays in place. So it's helping us along the way, which is definitely going to be really useful if we do have 2 70-pound bikes on there. And it tilts almost 90 degrees, so we have tons of room, tons of clearance from the hatch, and we can come back here and chill out if we need to, change our shoes before or after the ride, grab anything out of the back that we might need for that ride once we get there. Tilting it back up is pretty straightforward. We're just going to do the same exact thing. I like to go from the back because I can get leverage that way to pull it up. If you have 2 70-pound bikes on there, you might have to find a different method, but that's what works best for me. We'll fit that gray knob back in there, tighten it up. Before we get our bike off, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ramp. So I did mention it's not going to store on the rack, but it is included. It's telescopic, so we can loosen it up and stretch it out if we need to accommodate some different heights. I'll show you a little bit about how it works. So basically you just have these notches. They're only on one set of each end of the tray, so I can put it here or I can put it back there. I can't put it there or there because we do have the cradle in the front that reaches up to accommodate our tires, so it's unfortunate. But if you want to use it, you'll just fit the top of the ramp into the notch at the end of the tray, just like that, and you can roll the bike down. In our case, because I would have to put it at the end over here, we don't have enough room to get the bike off, so I'll just set it off to the side and we can work on getting that bike removed. We'll first start with these straps. I'll start with the back one here. Just press that gray release, pull the strap through. I like to tuck it under the tray in the front just to get it out of the way. It's definitely helpful to do, especially if you're going to end up rolling the bike the distance of the tray if you have the opportunity to use the ramp. Then I'll get these front 2 wheel straps undone as well. Again, just finding a place to store those straps in the meantime. And then we'll come up to the frame clamps right here. You can see before I loosen it up that there is a lock core on the front. So in the event that you do want to lock these up, they'll prevent this knob from being turned and your bike will be locked onto the rack. But for now, I'll just loosen this up until the jaws are wide enough to release on my frame. In my case, I'm just going to lift it off. But if you had the ramp set up and you had room, you could wheel it off yourself. With the bike out of the way, I'll just clean some things up, starting with the straps. I just like to replace them so they're not flying around while we're driving. Coming up to the front here, talk a little bit more about the trays and the cradles. So the design of the rack angles down on either side to accommodate a wheelbase of up to 50 inches. And in the front, we have the cradles that are able to support a tire width of up to 4.5 inches. With everything put away, we can get that center mast folded down. To do so, we will start with these rubber straps. Just pull those around these levers. Then we'll fold these down. And now we can lower that center mast. This cradle will likely get in the way. It's fine, just work with it and push it out of the way. Then we'll close these levers back up and get those rubber straps tightened back down. From here we can get a measurement to find out what it's like to live with this on the back of your vehicle. So with that center mast down especially, we're going to be adding on a fair bit of distance. So from the bumper to the furthest point back, in our case, is going to add on about 37 inches. Definitely sticks out quite a bit. So that's something to be mindful of. As far as ground clearance goes, from the ground to the angles on the side that I pointed out just before, it's going to come in at about 15 inches. So the Rogue sits high enough and it's got a nice rise in the shank, so I'm not going to be super worried about that ground clearance as far as going up hills or over curbs. If we want to save a little bit of that space though, we can, just by pulling this clip on the end of the shank and the pin. You might have to move the rack up and down a little bit to get it out. We can fold the rack up closer to the Rogue. You can see it does sit really close, and we'll get that measurement in just a second. First, we're going to come down, line those holes back up, replace the pin and the clip, and now we can see exactly how much space we've saved and how close we're sitting. First, we'll go with that added on distance. That's going to come in now closer to 11.5 inches, so we save almost 2/3 of the space that we just talked about. Like I mentioned though, it does sit a little bit close. Coming into that measurement as close as we sit, it's going to be about 1.5 inches. It won't go any further than that, but it does sit kind of close, and there's going to be a little bit of back and forth movement. So if that's something you're worried about, that's something to keep in mind. I don't think it's going to make contact, but it does sit a little close, so if that's too close for comfort, that's definitely something to be considerate of. Another downside of this rack with that center mast folded up is that it is just a little bit bulky. It does cover up a lot of things in the back of our vehicle. So from where you're at, it's probably going to be pretty tough to see the license plate. There will be windows where you can see through it, but it is pretty heavily obstructed. Our backup camera sits right here, and that's going to definitely also be pretty obstructed. You might again have some windows to see through, but the bulk of the rack is going to sit right in front of that camera, so you're definitely going to know it's there. It still doesn't come anywhere near our taillights though, and the center mast does sit low enough that it's not going to impact our view out of our rear window. Coming down to the shank, the rack uses a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch receiver. It's held in place by this pin, the lock in the end that's going to be key to that frame lock that we talked about earlier, as well as you see that there is this collar on the shank, which helps you line up the pinholes. So once this hits your receiver, you'll know they're lined up. It's all held in place by this anti-rattle handle here in the back. Just make sure once you tighten it up, you leave it in this position so you're not messing with your ground clearance by leaving it pointed down. Overall, if you're looking for a solution to get your heavier e-bikes where you need them to go, and maybe you need a little bit of help getting them on and off, the Hollywood Rack's Destination E is definitely a really solid option. I like the ramp, I like its size, and the fact that it is so robust, but I don't love the fact that you can only put it on one of each side of the cradles. It's not integrated onto the rack, so you will have to remember to bring it. So if you like the ramp, but you'd rather have something that leaves the ramp on the rack, you might want to check out something like the Yakima on-ramp. The ramp is a little bit thinner, so it makes the tire widths a little bit trickier when you're getting them on and off, but the ramp is stored on the rack, so you don't have to remember to bring it. But if you do like the Destination for the weight capacity and all the features that it brings to the table, I still think it's a really nice choice. This again was just a quick look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination E and how it fits on our 2023 Nissan Rogue.